my thing is, I don't really get, what the big opposition to something like the Freedom to Vote Act is, and why, when 43 states are making rules that make it harder to vote, why people would be against that.
But see, there's a litany of things that probably should come up, obviously, in this debate, which are that, one, Georgia and Texas too, but Georgia, which is the one that received all the ire, actually expanded the amount of hours that you can vote in Georgia. They actually put drop boxes into the law. They codified a system that didn't even exist prior to the pandemic. They now have drop boxes officially. They made it basically much more expansive than the average Republican would have ever supported in terms of what kind of election allowances there might be. One of I think the good arguments for why we should have election day on just election day is because voters are entitled to all of the information at the same time about who they're voting for. How many stories have you seen break in the waning days of an election that could have an impact on how people consider who they're going to vote for? I think that's a perfectly good argument for why it's reasonable to have an election day, but that's not what they have in Georgia. They've got weeks of available time to do it. And additionally, they used to have a signature match system for their absentee ballots. So that's a system which up until 2020, places like the Atlantic was saying was disproportionately hurting Black voters because they would sign their signature to their absentee ballot. They'd send it in, and then some election official would say, sorry, it doesn't match the one on file. And Black voters, more than any other, were having their votes disproportionately thrown out during a signature match. That goes away now in places like Georgia and Texas, because now you just write your state ID number on the ballot. In other words, what's upsetting to me, Jason and Olivia, about the speech that we heard this week from Joe Biden is not only how divisive it was, but that it so thoroughly misrepresented what the battle's actually about. Republicans are saying these states should be able to make election laws that are designed to, of course, give access to the ballot and protect the integrity of the vote, thus not disenfranchising voters. But what Joe Biden and his allies in Washington are arguing, and in other states around the country, Democrats, is that no, actually what we're dealing with here is the equivalent of Jim Crow. What we're dealing with here is segregation born anew in the United States. And he's stoking the flames of what has always been a contentious issue in the United States, race, in order to mislead the public about what the battleground actually is.